Okay, hopefully we are live. Good lord. Should be live anyway. And we got the buddy. Why you shaking water all over me? Just got done drinking water. So yeah, I was laying in bed as you do because sleep schedule's still not fully recovered from being in Japan, and also because my weekend job I work all nights, and during the week I try to go back to a normal schedule. So I'm constantly going from a nighttime schedule to a daytime schedule. Yeah, what do you want? What do you want? You a little chunk chunk. You a little chunk chunk. Yes, you want. And basically, I was online and saw that the leaks for JJK was posted on Twitter, as you do. And yeah, I was gonna give some thoughts about that. So, how many chapters are left? Is it? It's either 3 or 4 chapters left. It's hard for me to keep track because it's been a little bit since he said there was 5 chapters left, and then Nobara came back last chapter, and this chapter they defeated Sukuna, and I don't know. Just gonna give some thoughts about that. It really seems like it's shonen like manga is really about the journey and not really the end. Um, because trying to think of like shonen manga that have good endings is way more difficult than thinking of ones that have mediocre to bad endings. It just seems like it's so difficult for like a Japanese mangaka to like end a series fulfilling, or even with like a final battle have it like end fulfilling. Um, from my perspective, being a Bleach fan and had reading it, I had read it weekly for about 10 years, every week. Basically, I don't know if I ever like missed a chapter and had to catch up, but it was like every week basically I was reading it for about 10 years up until it ended. And when I started reading it, it was still in the Car arc. And I remember reading it back then whenever like Aizen got defeated. Aizen had some long battles. It was a long fight. It's not too disappointing, but it was a little disappointing how fast it was whenever Ichigo finally arrived on the scene, got his power up, got his Mugetsu, which I understand. It's like that form. It's like it couldn't be a long drawn out fight. It's basically a one hit, and if it doesn't work, you're screwed. That's the way that attack basically works. So, but even still, it would have been more nice if like Ichigo had gotten a bit of a longer fight with Aizen. And I remember when the Iran card like first ended, like we kind of thought, or at least, well, we didn't really think, but we thought that maybe Bleach would be over after the Aizen fight, and then the Fullbringer arc happened. But uh, it was a good ending. Like that would have been a really good place for it to end. Ichigo becomes normal. He stops seeing ghosts. Rukia fades away. He says his goodbye. That would have been a really good ending for Bleach, even if it would have been very unfulfilling for all of the stuff that we had not gotten shown about the world and about characters. Which, even though it did end up going on, when that come out? It went on for like about 10 years beyond that point, maybe. No, not 10 years. It went on quite a while longer, at least. Like the Fullbringer arc, that one lasted roughly about a year, year and a half, somewhere around there, because it's only like 5 volumes, I think. Four? No, it's five. I think it's 5 volumes for that. Then you get into the Thousand Year Blood War, and uh, yeah, it started good. About a third of the way through, it started falling off, and then definitely like halfway, it definitely started falling off for Bleach. And by the end, it got kind of painful to read, especially towards the very end, because we realized, oh crap, there's only so many chapters left. There is no way he's going to end this properly. And he left so much open stuff in the world, and eventually we got Can't Feel Your Own World, and that kind of helped a little bit. But it seems like he might be retconning Can't Feel Your Own World. It's hard to tell at this point if that's still going to be the canon or not, because apparently, or apparently with the Thousand Year Blood War anime, because it differs from the manga, apparently it's seen in like Candace and Medinas. What was her name? The pink-haired Bambi. Seems like they may have both died during, like, in the Thousand Year Blood War anime. It seems like they may have died, which is very bad because they are alive and Can't Fear Your Own World. That's a whole thing. And actually, like Candace is like she's actually both of them. Those are the two that end up in the Soul Society because Mayuri finds them like after the battle. So maybe it'll still work out. I don't know. It's really hard to say because they got like death cards. Like Kubo was like drawing death cards for the Thousand Year Blood War, and basically for every character that dies. Um, but again, didn't he do one for Bambi as well? And Bambi is dead but not dead, so maybe it'll still work out. It's really hard. Like we're in uncharted territory. We don't know if Can't Fear Your Own World is gonna stay the canon or if Kubo's just gonna change so much with the ending because apparently he's gonna be like more involved now. But anyway, we got way off. We need to talk about like shonen endings and like where JJK is. But yeah, it's like really hard to think about like shonen manga that have good endings. Like there's plenty that have bad endings or endings that are not really good, not fulfilling. Bunch come to mind like Claymore. Claymore is one that comes to mind. Like Claymore was like really good throughout most of the story, but the ending, oh, the ending was very unfulfilling. It was one of those things where it's set up like the world is a lot bigger than what it is, and it it chose not to like expand and go into that world. Ah, it's really disappointing when series do that. Then you have, of course, Bleach had a pretty bad ending. Naruto, everything after like Madara gets killed off is kind of painful, but the whole fight with dang, what's her name? The bunny chick, the alien. Even the fight with her was still kind of decent because it was like long. It was kind of fulfilling in a way to see like Team Seven all take on this great threat and beat her in the end. But even still, it got really rushed with like the Naruto and Sasuke fight. Like you could tell like Kishimoto got rushed for whatever reason. Shueisha really wanted Naruto to end at chapter 700, and they pushed him really hard to end it early, which is really unfortunate because he could have like produced a better ending, I believe, than what we got. The Toriko ending was, I guess, passable. It was one of those as well that, oh, my cat's jumping all over the place. I'm gonna knock stuff off. Um, Toriko had a decent ending. Like it did everything that it needed to do, but again, it was almost like Claymore in a way where it set it up. It's set up like an expansive world, like going from planet to planet, going into space to find new products. But it was one of those where it's like more of like an adventure. Like after the main battle, it was more like an adventure, which is kind of what it was beforehand, like exploring the world. So I guess it had a kind of passable ending. Then you have Kenichi, which was a pretty bad ending. Fairy Tail, I guess Fairy Tail was a pretty good ending, but even still, we're getting like the 100-year quest, so it's not really, and it hasn't really fully ended yet because we still have that. Hunter x Hunter could have had an amazing ending for like a shonen series. If it ended at volume 32, like that would have been probably the. It still would have left a lot of questions unanswered and a lot of things we would have liked to have known, but that would have been like the manga really ended at like volume 32. Gon meets his dad Ging, and that was like a really good ending. If Hunter x Hunter would have ended there. Probably it would have been the better outcome because we're probably never going to get an official ending. But Joan's story kind of ends there, and Hunter x Hunter is one of those series where it's like four protagonists, kind of. Um, but even still, it's like Killua, like his full story kind of ended like really early in the series, and especially like during the Chimera Ant King, like his full character arc is basically done. Gon's character is done. Really, the only thing we have left is Karapika, and if he chooses to do so, the Dark Continent. Um, Demon Slayer, I haven't really seen the ending to that one yet, so cannot speak too much to that. Like I know how it ends. I haven't read it all, but I have seen like the ending, like Muzan, how he gets killed off and stuff. So I don't know if it's like good or bad exactly. I do know it's a fairly short series and it probably should have lasted a little longer than it did, but I believe the author had some health issues. But as far as the JJK ending, it's like there's a few chapters left, but this last chapter, it was just really unfulfilling, like how they beat Sukuna. Like, oh, like I would have been disappointed. I would, if I was a JJK fan that had been reading for like years, like weekly reading it, I would probably be just as devastated as like whenever Bleach ended and when Naruto ended. Like I would have been probably pretty destroyed just seeing like how the final fight ended. And there's a few chapters left. Maybe you can close up some loose ends, but like off screening one of like your big fights at the end, and uh almost having like an ass pull how they beat Sukuna, like bringing Nobara back after she was gone. Like over half of the series, she has been gone. Still can't get over that. And apparently, JJK has some of the best written female characters, and I fail to see it, honestly. I can think of better written female characters. Like, even in Bleach, if we ever got like more expanded on like Ragiku and like what she is and like her story, that could be good. Yoraichi, really well written character. Even like the whole dynamic with like Soifone is pretty good. Even Orihime's character arc is like pretty dang good, especially like early on and up through the Iranka arc. It's still pretty good, but yeah. JJK's ending, I don't really know why. Like, he could have at least had the final fight last one more chapter, and you can maybe finish up your loose ends. But even still, it's still difficult because the other fight was still ongoing and it just completely happened off screen. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know if Shueisha's forcing would force him to end it that fast, or if he was just over it. Gege is over it, he just wants it over. It's really hard to say. Maybe he has health issues. Maybe it's like Kubo's situation where his health just got so bad that he needed to rush to end it. It's really hard to say. Um, I'm really hoping like Black Clover. Black Clover is my favorite from the current gen of shonen, and if it ends as bad as like My Hero and JJK are ending, I'm gonna be pretty devastated. I'm holding out a little bit of hope that Black Clover is still. I hope Black Clover lasts like quite a bit longer than what it is. Like this final arc needs to be pretty long. Give us some good fights. Give us a good ending. But if it like ends the way like My Hero, that ending, man, that ending, good lord, it was bad. It was really bad. Um, but for me, My Hero, like it peaked at like volume 11, so My Hero hasn't been very good for like a very long time. So there's not too many things to talk about with like My Hero. It's like it hasn't been good for a very long time. Like it has its moments still, even after like volume 11, but it hit its peak like My Hero hit its peak so early on, and everything after that, nothing else ever lived up to it. And he made a lot of really bad mistakes with like writing and like characters and how he treated them. It was like really bad, and the whole final war arc and battle was just pretty bad. Didn't really enjoy it. Wasn't good. But yeah, it's really difficult. Like Shonen Jump's in a pretty bad spot because what do they have? Seriously, it's like what like I know they have series. Like of course they have Sakamoto Days, the Yozakura family. Um, what else do they have? They have some more Kagurabachi, but it's like none of these series are very popular yet. Like some of them are like really popular among like manga fans. Undead Unluck is still ongoing, but even though it had an anime, like the anime was over on Netflix, so it was in Netflix hell, so it never really picked up and kicked off, unfortunately. Because I heard like Undead Unluck is like really good, but unfortunately, the anime just got on Netflix. Anime goes to die on Netflix. That's just the way it is, unfortunately. Um, the manga never really seemed to pick kick off the same way that like the other like current gen have. So Shonen Jump's gonna be in a really bad place. Do any of those series sell well? I haven't looked at sales charts in a long time. Um, but yeah, really like One Piece is like their only like really popular mainstream appeal like series that's still ongoing. Because even Black Clover, since the anime ended, um, it's definitely fallen off quite a bit, and definitely having the chapters be quarterly has hurt it quite a bit. So you can't really put it in the same rung as like your JJKs and your My Heroes anymore, unfortunately. Even though it's still my favorite of the current bunch, um, even I have to admit that yeah, it doesn't have the widespread fan appeal that like the other ones still in Jump do. So yeah, jumps in a really weird spot right now. It's in a very weird spot. It's not the only time this has ever happened. But again, it's like One Piece has been around and has outlived like everything. It's crazy how many like generations of because it started in the 90s. It started not too long after Dragon Ball ended, which is crazy. Which Dragon Ball, that's another one that had like a really bad ending for like shonen manga. Um, can you imagine like being back then and like reading 42 volumes of the manga and just having it end like that? And then like Super wasn't around. It was like 2 decades later whenever Super was like, well, not even Super, but Battle of Gods finally came out like 20 years later. So imagine being like a Dragon Ball fan, and because Akira Toriyama, he didn't have like a chapter countdown really. It was just like, all right, this is the final chapter. I'm ending it. It's like I'm out. It was kind of like Yu Yu Hakusho in a way. Yu Yu Hakusho did that kind of as well, whereas like Togashi was like, all right, I'm done. I'm done. Oh, that's so disappointing too. I wish he would like do it in novel form or something, or get someone else. I really wish he would get someone else to like he can write it, because it could have been such a good final tournament. Like having that final tournament arc, the Three Kings arc, that could have been really good if he would have put the time to it. Unfortunately, like the manga version is even worse than the anime version. It's a rare instance where the anime like it spans more and adds more content and has a better ending than what the manga does. Um, yeah, there's two more examples of like shonen manga ending really bad. I'm trying to look over at my shelf and see what else there could be that has ended. Oh yeah, Hikaru no Go. That's one that kind of just ended. Um, Hikaru no Go is one of those where it kind of had its like final ending at like volume 16, I believe, 16 or 17. Basically, when the spirit goes away, um, that's kind of where it ends for the first time. It kind of would have been a good place for it to end, but it still goes on for quite a few volumes later. But we never really get to see Hikaru like reach his goal. So my Hikaru no Go is one of those where it just ends. Um, Unfortunately, D Gray Man's still ongoing. Is it still ongoing? What does D Gray Man even run in? Because it's like it's not quarterly, it's not monthly. Maybe it is monthly. Maybe she just goes on hiatus a lot. But man, D Gray Man's been going on so long now. It's crazy. Prince of Tennis, the Shin Prince of Tennis, that one's still, I believe that one's still ongoing. Is it in Jump Square? Or is even Jump Square still around, or did they like rebrand the name? Because they've done that a few times. Uh, Death Note. Death Note had a pretty okay ending. Not in the anime. The anime ending for Death Note Oh, it's pretty bad because it changes it drastically from how it does in the manga. But really, it should have ended like after Light defeats L. It really should have ended there. But even though it lasted quite a bit longer, it was still an okay ending, except for the anime. The anime completely changes the ending. Bakuman, good lord, that was one that I was reading weekly too back then, and wow, that one just ended. Oh, that was pretty unfulfilling. It had a few times where it could have ended, but it really should have lasted. They really should have drug out like the ending a bit longer when their series finally got an anime. Uh, Yu-Gi-Oh had a pretty good ending. Now that I'm thinking about it, Yu-Gi-Oh is one of those rare examples where I think it ended really well. Yeah, wow. Surprisingly, that's one that I forget about. I was actually gonna start rewatching Yu-Gi-Oh last night, like in Japanese, like because I need to start getting more immersion in and like listening to stuff like in Japanese, like raw, no subtitles. And I heard that if you've never read the Death Note manga, definitely read the manga. Um, Basically, a lot of the scenes are the same, but it's different, like how Light dies and where he dies. In the anime, like he goes up to like the rooftop area and like dies on the stairs and stuff, and it makes it seem like he's a good character and like ending. Whereas in the manga version, he basically gets shot up and he dies like in front of everyone. He dies in the room with everyone. Like Ryuk writes his name, and then like he's pleading for his life after getting shot and stuff, and he like dies on the floor screaming out in front of everyone. That's the big difference, like where he dies and like how it's portrayed for his death. That's how it ends. Yeah, it's quite a bit different. There are some more changes for the Death Note manga and anime versions. There are some more changes as well. Definitely look into it if you're interested, but it's only a 12 volume series, so it's definitely worth reading if you get the chance. Um, it is text heavy at times, but that's just Sugumi Oba. That's his writing style. Like every manga that he's written is very text heavy. So it's definitely worth checking out. I definitely recommend like the anime is really good, but the manga is slightly different in points, but it's still they're both really good. Both of them really good. Uh, do I have any more shonen around? Uh, well, there's Bastard, but that one still hasn't ended yet. Good lord, he hasn't put out a new volume since 2012. It's been over 12 years since there's been any new Bastard like official content. Like in 2018 or 2019, maybe it was 2020. I don't remember exactly when, but he actually did attend Comic and released like a new Bastard Dojin, but he still hasn't drawn any new chapters in like over 12 years. I was gonna say like this is one of the good things about being like a rom com fan and being into slice of life and stuff is a lot of those do actually have like decent endings, whereas shonen almost always has bad endings. Like you kind of know how rom coms and uh, shonen romance are gonna end. Like even from the beginning, you kind of know who he's gonna end up with. So a lot of those end really well, um, except for Tolaru. Tolaru always ends on kind of a to be continued. Like we might get a sequel to Darkness one day. I don't believe uh, Kentaro Ibuki is doing anything. He doesn't have any manga going on at the moment, I don't think, since Ayakashi Triangle ended. So maybe he'll meet up with the guy that writes Tolaru and they can continue Tolaru. That would be nice. Um, but yeah, shonen romance, most of those end pretty well, I think. I don't really have too many complaints with a lot of the endings, like other than disagreeing with which girl he ends up with, but a lot of them do end pretty well. Uh, Anime that's coming out fairly soon. I believe it's gonna be in Netflix hell, so that's very disappointing. But it's Blue Box Ao no Hako. Ao Hako? Nope, it's Ao no Hako Blue Box. That one's coming out fairly soon. Uh, what's another one? Doctor Stone is one of those. I don't know. That one's weird. Hold up. Crap. Where is it? I know I have it. I don't remember. I thought it got the cover on which one it ended on. I am not seeing. I know I have it. I just don't know where it is. Oh, there it is. The ending of Dr. Stone was pretty good. I wish it would have lasted a bit longer. They finally meet Y-Man on like the moon. It's like really cool having like this Shonen Jump. It had quite a few, or at least I thought it did. Maybe it didn't. One of them had quite a few, like color pages. But they finally meet Y-Man, and I wish it would have lasted a bit longer for the ending for Dr. Stone, but I don't know. I guess it was good enough. They kind of just meet Y-Man, and it's over in kind of like a chapter. Actually, this is not the final chapter. Which one is the final chapter? Is it this one? Yeah, I think this one has it. I knew that like the final chapter had a lot of color pages. Yeah. Which doesn't Boichi have like a new manga? Is he drawing something new? Or is he still doing like the One Piece redraw chapters? I'm not sure. But yeah, Dr. Stone, I wish it would have went a bit longer. I don't know if it ended a lot earlier than I would have expected, but I wish it would have lasted, I don't know, 3, 4, maybe 5 chapters longer. Like, give us a bit more content. Give us a bit more of an ending instead of it just ending, kinda. Because after they meet Y-Man in like one chapter, it's over with Y-Man, and then we get to see it's like one chapter after that it ends, and it kind of does the whole shonen thing where it needs to end in one chapter, so it just cram packs the chapter. Like everyone gets like a couple panels to kind of like show where they are and how things ended up. I really wish shonen would do a little bit more to give us a bit more content, a little bit more of a fulfilling ending. Like, it wasn't a bad ending for Dr. Stone. Hopefully maybe the anime will expand a bit more because it is getting a final season for the anime. I was so excited when like the Dr. Stone final season was announced. I was so scared that it was not gonna continue with the story until the end. So whenever we got like that final season announcement, I was really excited. And how many cores is it gonna be? I forget. Isn't going to be like 3 or 4 cores, which will be fulfilling. I hope it ends well. Maybe it'll expand a little bit more on the manga, and I'll be excited about that. Because Dr. Stone is... It's not your typical shonen, for sure. And I really enjoy it. But we have been live for about 23 minutes, and I think I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here in a little bit. Because I do need to get to studying Japanese. I was going to try to read some in my N5 book. I was going to reread this from like the beginning, but I've been reading it, and it doesn't use the kanji for a lot of words, unfortunately. And like my Anki deck for my N5 Anki deck, it has the kanji for like most of these words, like asa, morning, hiru, daytime, noon, yoru, evening. It has kanji for all those, like my asa. Like, it should really be using the kanji for all these. So That's definitely disappointing. And now that I have like all the kanji memorized for like a lot of these words, um, there's really no point to me for me to read them in hiragana. So yeah, oh, especially these. Let me go back. All yeah, all these, all the like cities and areas of Japan, like Fukuoka, Kobe, Hokkaido. Like I know all of those and kanjis, so there's literally no reason for me to like reread this book whenever it doesn't have the kanji names of all these things. Kanasaya, Nagoya, Kyoto. There's no reason like it should have Kyoto like in hiragana. It needs to be in kanji for sure. Um, you really need to learn the words like with the kanji that go with them. Oh my god, my cat got on the computer and did something. Will you move? What are you doing, buddy? Buddy. Buddy. But yeah, start I was gonna reread this, but after seeing like there's like no it's so few kanji because it only uses like the 80 kanji that you would know by the N5 level. So there's no real benefit to reading this. I hope the N4 book has more content because I'm working through the N5 deck right. Well, the N4 deck right now on Anki. Um, over 300 words into it. I can tell you exactly how many like Japanese sentences and words that I know right now. 1,361 is what I'm up to as far as Japanese sentences and words that I know. So we're getting there. We're learning 20 new N4 cards a day, is what I'm doing right now. Hopefully, going to be able to pass the N4 test this December, but it's going to be difficult with like full-time college and work because college just started, and that's going to make putting like 2 hours into Anki every day a little more difficult to do for sure. For sure. And we're learning 5 new kanji a day, which let's see, how many kanji am I up to? It's like almost 1,100, I think. 1,085 kanji is what I'm up to right now. Yeah. So that's how many kanji I'm up to. I'm gonna hit 1,100 this week, which is exciting because that means I'm gonna officially be halfway through kanji. And there comes another cat. Officially halfway through kanji because there's 2,200 like commonly used kanji that I need to know, and I'm gonna be basically halfway there. So that's exciting, but it also is a little disappointing because there's so much more kanji left to go over. It's like I know so many, and it's like, how do all of them stay in your head? That's just the common kanji. Like there's thousands more kanji. Well, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream here, I think, and work on making some breakfast and start studying for the day. And then try to get some work done later and try to get out to the skate park. Gonna meet up with the guys and go skate today, I think, and do some shopping. So, yeah, we'll see you guys later.